Hello everybody and welcome back to Nikki Dolly 95. I am Nikki Chanel here. Now, today I'm going to be taking a break from directly talking about topics related to me, as that's pretty much the entire history of my channel and I'm kind of burnt out about talking about myself. And I'm instead going to be talking about multimedia films and television shows directly relating or representing what it means to be transgender and LGBT culture. I feel it's good to talk about them because I've watched them in the past and my opinions have changed, other people's opinions have changed. And they've represented these fairly serious topics, sometimes in a very good manner, sometimes in an even more serious manner. And it's good to talk about this because these films have had wide-reaching audiences. They're on very large streaming platforms where anybody can view them. And these are 5 of them that I think are very good. Now, this list will not be including films that are hitting DEI initiatives or woke agendas, or where the diversity quotas in studios say they need to have a transgender person. Personally, if a transgender person is in a show, sometimes that becomes like a whole plot line in and of itself, and a lot of people have a controversy of that, when the film doesn't really require a transgender person in it. So personally, I'd rather see an LGBT-focused movie, or maybe talk about the history of some transgender people that have existed in real life, instead of just making up random plot lines that... So this list will not be including those. These are going to be 5 films and TV shows that I feel are very pertinent to transgender topics that do a good job of representing them. Now, we are going to get started. However, remember to like and subscribe, hit those comments in the comment section. Remember to hit the bell button to never miss a video and smash that like button so this video can reach more people. Okay, honeys, let's get into our list of 5 multimedia films and television shows that represent good transgender culture. On to our first one. Now, when you look at the history of film in the 1990s, it seems that there was quite a few films all about drag queens. You had Priscilla, Queen of the Desert in 1994, starring Hugo Weaving and Terrence Stamp. Like Hugo Weaving, yes, that Hugo Weaving, Agent Smith. And then you had To Wong Foo, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, starring Wesley Snipes and Patrick Swayze. And yes, that is Wesley Snipes of Blade history. And both of these films are very interesting. I've watched them both and they're kind of like interesting, and it mostly talks about these drag queens on cross-country road trips and all the misadventures that they get into. While I like the shows, I personally are like, okay, these are more like transvestites. These are more like drag queens. They don't really represent being transgender. They do talk about gender and they do talk about what it means to be queer, but I feel the best movie that came about in the mid-90s in this kind of like drag era was The Birdcage, starring Robin Williams and Nathan Lane. I love The Birdcage. I think it is one of my favorite films because it is just good. Like, it's just funny. It's a comedy where Robin Williams is a male gay club owner in Miami, and he owns a drag bar, and his husband is one of the drag performers, and he has a straight son from another woman. While off to college, this son meets a girlfriend who he wants to come visit his family. However, the girlfriend's father is, wait for the relevancy, a right-wing senator pushing Christian family values in the government. And long story short, a whole series of events happens. I'm not going to spoil any of the plot lines. And it's a really funny movie because you get a lot of really good poignant topics talked about, such as in one scene, Robin Williams' son is talking to him about how, hey, I want you to change your appearance. And he's like, I've worked damn hard to be myself. I'm not gonna let anybody change my appearance. It also shows Nathan Lane. And in the show, Nathan Lane is more like a transvestite where they're just living as a woman, but they're still a man, like going out in the club and everybody knows them. And they're a drag performer. And at one point they portray the mother of Robin Williams. And it's a whole series of comedy events, but it's showcase of gay culture in a positive light is one of the reasons why I like The Birdcage. It shows a gay married couple and what they go through. There's hardships, there's positivities. It shows the dynamics of being a gay male with a son, and it shows like just what it means to be openly gay in society. And that's one thing that I think To Wong Foo and Priscilla, Queen of the Desert kind of fail on, is it doesn't show like what it means to be LGBT in society. And that's where I think The Birdcage really shines. And it's also relevancy because of the political themes talked about in the movie, which are still relevant 30 years later. So I love The Birdcage, and it's one of my favorite films ever. Number 2, Boys Don't Cry. Oh, this movie. Boys Don't Cry is a biographical pic about American trans man Brandon Teena and his violence that he experienced that ultimately ended his life in 1983 in Tennessee. Now, the story of Brandon Teena is very intense, and this movie is very deep. It's very dark. It's very violent. It cases the violence against Brandon Teena in a very open light. The ending is like wild. It's very depressing. You come away like very grim, like, oh my God, I can't believe I just watched that. But as a transgender person, when you watch this, it means something completely different, is that you ask yourself, is this going to happen to me? That was the question that I asked myself when I watched this movie, was, is this going to happen to me? Is this something that I'm gonna have to deal with? Like, you know, being raised in a red state, Boise, Idaho, it's a city, but it's still a fairly small city. It's like, is this going to happen to me? And it is still relevant to this day. A lot of transgender people fall victim to transphobic violence and hate crimes. And sadly, the story of Brandon Teena and Matthew Shepard definitely serves as a warning against the violence of being transgender and openly gay. And the movie is phenomenal. It really is. Hilary Swank, while she is a woman, does a really good job in the movie. She definitely deserved her Best Actress award. But the story of Boys Don't Cry and the story of Brandon Teena is very relevant to this day. On my Instagram, I have a lot of trans women and a lot of just LGBT people reaching out to me saying that they're born in small cities, that they don't know how to be themselves, they don't know how to come out and open. And the movie really struggles with Brandon's coming out, his relationships with his parents, all about his sexual and gender identity, like all the conflicts that you go through. And it's very relevant to this day. Like, I watched a couple clips before doing this, and I'm like, yeah, this is intense. This is very intense. It's very dark, but it's so relevant. And the sad part is that we haven't moved away from hate crimes. We haven't moved away from transphobic violence. And unfortunately, it still happens. Many victims fall victim to it every single year. And the Boys Don't Cry has definitely influenced me on like where I go, what type of things that I do. Like, for example, I went out to a club a couple weeks ago and I had to park on the 5th floor. I had my friends walk with me so I don't fall victim to violence. Obviously, the chance of it is pretty low, but I do hear some stories every now and then that is kind of grotesque and disgusting. And sadly, we haven't moved away from the violence. And so the story of Brandon Teena and Boys Don't Cry is definitely an eye-opener. And if you want to watch a very somber transgender film that deals with the very real instances of being transgender, especially in small cities, Boys Don't Cry is definitely a must-watch. I personally can't watch it again because it's just dark and it's just like I watch war movies and stuff, but this is on an entirely another level. And Boys Don't Cry is a fantastic film. I just can't watch it again. Number 3, Euphoria. Now, Euphoria, when you pull away the topic that I'm going to talk about, is not really one of my favorite shows. It's a very like sensationalized, very like glamorized version of life in LA. There's underage drinking, there's underage sex, there's alcoholism, there's everything under the sun in that show. And you're just like, is this real, or is the studio just pulling stuff out of their ass to kind of make a plot line? But where I think it really shines is in its representation of the character Jules, played by American trans woman Hunter Schafer. Jules in the show, I think, is one of the best instances and the best like representations of transgender in multimedia that I've ever seen. Like, the way they handle the character is really good. She's not just like a transgender person for the sake of a plot. Like, she's just a student that just happens to be transgender that kind of gets riled up into all this stuff. It shows her interacting with men, it shows her interacting with chasers, it shows her interacting with Zendaya. It literally at one point shows her injecting herself with HRT, which is very relevant to a lot of trans women. And I think one of the best episodes is when one of the earlier episodes is talking about Jules' childhood, and it shows her in this mirror listing off the things that she hates about her body. She hates her feet, she hates her man hand, she hates her male body. And I'm like, that is like so relevant, because I did that as a kid. And the identity crisis that she has as a trans woman is really explored in that episode. And it's just really good. Like, the way it's presented is not like it's forced upon you. It's not like it's this thing that is like they are just doing this for the plot line. No, it's like they are going through the history of what it means to be transgender with Jules. And I think it's really good. It shows her going to school. It shows her interacting with men. It shows her like just being a person. And that's what I think is like the most valuable part of the show, is that it shows that Jules is not just some goblin-like character. It shows that Jules is like just a student at a high school that just kind of gets roped in the plot line. But it's just, the rest of the show is so sensationalized and glamorized, and it shows this like way out there version of like teen life that is not really my favorite, but the way they handle Jules' character is really good. She's just an integral part of the plot line. She's not just there to hit some quota. She's not just there to hit some like initiative where it's like, oh, we need transgender people. No, she's actually like a plot line in the show. She's relevant, and Hunter Schafer does an amazing job of portraying it. Number 4, RuPaul's Drag Race. 17 seasons, 223 episodes, multiple spin-offs in this country and other countries. There's Drag Race Canada, Drag Race UK. This is probably one of the most single important pieces of LGBT media out there because of its impact on the culture. I don't know how many times I've heard references to this stuff, like baking, slay, all that stuff pretty much comes from this show. And it's one of the most important pieces of media that I have ever learned, because when I first went to Google when I was 14, trying to figure out what the fuck I was, I typed in male to female, drag queens popped up, RuPaul's Drag Race popped up. And all the queens on there have been a massive, massive impact on my life. And it's probably one of the single most popular sources of LGBT media out there, and it's won multiple awards. Now, for those that don't know what RuPaul's Drag Race is, it is a reality TV show kind of along the veins of America's Next Top Model and American Idol, where prospective drag queens compete to become America's next top drag superstar, hosted by RuPaul, the gay icon herself, sashay away and all that stuff. And it has jump-started the careers of tons of LGBT people, such as Trixie Mattel, one of the winners. She has a YouTube channel with 3 million subscribers. Most of these queens have social media accounts in the hundreds of thousands. And the one thing that is the most poignant about it is they have transgender contestants starting in season 14. That was probably one of the biggest things that I've learned, is that there were drag queens I was following forever, and suddenly they come out as transgender. And like, imagine like, here's an idol that you have who is already beautiful and you think is stunningly gorgeous, and suddenly they come out as transgender and they're going through the same struggles that you have. Why do you think it has a massive impact on me? Multiples of queens, Jinx Monsoon, Sasha, Colby, Kylie Sonique. I love Kylie Sonique. And Carmen Carrera. Carmen Carrera is a hottie and a baddie from hell. They have influenced me. They were one of the reasons I transitioned. They have been huge influences on me. My one friend also said the same thing, so we have that connection there. And RuPaul's Drag Race is probably one of the single most important pieces of media out there, because it is showing that gay culture can be successful, and gay men and transgender women can be extremely successful. So it's really awesome when you see these transgender women up there on stage in front of 1 million people doing like their thing, dressing up in glamorous outfits, being themselves, and just living in the moment is amazing when you watch that. Like, I love those moments, and I love reading about the queens' stories because it's also relevant to me. And I love RuPaul's Drag Race. And I've loved the show ever since I started watching it, and I routinely watch the episodes all the time, routinely watch it on YouTube, and they've influenced me going into my drag show that I did. So I love RuPaul's Drag Race. Can talk about it forever. I love it. Plain and simple. Number 1, Veneno. Veneno is the story of Cristina La Veneno, a Spanish transgender adult worker who happens to get picked up off the street and is placed into a late-night Spanish broadcast show in the 1990s. And Veneno, I think, is one of the best transgender representations I've ever seen. I cried in almost every single episode. Every single episode was full of references, and it shows the story of Cristina going from this small town gay boy, like trying to discover herself, being beaten up for being herself, and going out and discovering people. And then finally she meets transgender women. It's like, oh, that makes sense. And it shows the story about it. And the thing that I love about the show is that when you see a person in the show that's transgender, it's actually played by a transgender actress. And Some of them are absolutely beautiful. Like there's this one lady, Laura Montreal. I love her. Oh my gosh, she's gorgeous. And it shows Christina Veneno interacting with all these transgender women, and it shows her going through the struggles of transition. And there's also a subplot where one of her like friends, her like kid, more or less, is kind of, Christina's helping her in transition and kind of like discovering herself, and they're hanging out with each other. And like the way that me and my friends talk to each other is the exact same way that they talk to each other. And it's just, I love La Veneno. It is such a good show. It's on HBO Max. And the thing that I love about it is that it doesn't make it dark. It doesn't make it super positive. It shows the hardships and the positivities of life as a transgender woman. And La Veneno goes through a lot. Christina goes through a lot in the show, and it shows her interacting with men that are just using her for her fame and her body and all this stuff. And she's a beautiful woman, being raised in a small town, trying to be herself. And it's just so relevant, and it's just so good. It was made in 2020, and the show is talking about very relevant topics. And the thing that I love is it just represents transgender women, because the thing that you see, and especially in older American media, we have people like Wesley Snipes and the Ace Ventura pet detective villain. It is showing transgender women as beautiful and gorgeous and glamorous, and it shows them in all the facets of it. It openly talks about bottom surgery. It openly talks about all these surgeries that they go through. It openly talks about sex. It openly talks about substance abuse that some of them go through. And it doesn't fuck around in any part of it. And that's what I love about it, is that it's real, it's grounded, it's about this story. Obviously, it has a lot of like drama for the TV show and all that stuff, but when you read about Christina Veneno's life, it's pretty spot on. I loved every single episode of it. It was so good. I watched it with my friends, and I was like, oh my God, I cried. We binge watched it until 5 a.m. I watched the entire thing in one go because I was so hooked. Veneno is one of my favorite shows. Like, it's good. Like, the cinematography is good, the audio quality is good, and it showcases transgender people going through the struggles that I went through, going through the struggles that we all go through, but it shows it in a positive light. And it's not like hardships. It's not just about violence. It's not just about like the crap that we go through. It shows them that it's about overcoming and being yourself. And that's why I love Veneno. Veneno is one of my favorite shows ever because of its solid, realistic representation of being transgender. Hey honeys, thank you for watching that little YouTube video. Now, I wanted to do this video because it's good to talk about transgender representation in media and what influenced me and what shows have done something for me and have helped me through my process of transitioning. Where in the late 90s, you had really good films, but they didn't really focus on transgender topics. They mostly focused on the gay topics, which were very relevant back then. And then they talk about Boys Don't Cry. Boys Don't Cry is a very deep and dark movie, but it's very good, and it showcases a very deep side of what it means to be transgender. And then you have RuPaul's Drag Race, you have Euphoria, you have Veneno, and there's so many other transgender forms of media out there. There's so many other LGBT media out there that I can talk about. There's so many of them out there. It's a very popular film subject, and if treated right, it's really good. If done wrong, it just kind of looks like a cliche, and I don't really watch it. But if done right, it really hits home. And when you watch some of these shows, especially Veneno, you really feel like you're part of the character's journey, and you really can understand what it means to be through that journey. And then you can watch something like RuPaul's Drag Race and be like, maybe that could be me. Maybe I could be that person on this show, hitting millions of people in an audience where otherwise I wouldn't be known, but I can be transgender and be successful. And that's why I love RuPaul's Drag Race. And then it also shows like what happens when you're in unsafe environments, and what happens when you meet friends who aren't really your friends, and such as in Boys Don't Cry, and you go through the struggles of that small town relationship dynamics. And all of these movies are really good. I think all of them are very strong. I think every one of these movies and TV shows are what I would consider as some of my favorites. Boys Don't Cry I don't really watch because it's just so dark and depressing. I want to cry all the time. But I love every single one of these films. And if you want to watch some good representation, I have links down in the description to what I feel are the really good scenes of each of these films that really showcase what I'm talking about, that really showcase either the glamour side of transitioning or some of the darker elements to it. Now, thank you for watching this YouTube video. We are on the grind to 5,000 subscribers, so if you can remember to hit the subscribe button down there, that would be really appreciated. Remember to like and subscribe. Send this video to your friends if you feel that they want to watch some really good transgender films. And I will be here for the next video. This has been Nikki Chanel, and you all have a wonderful day, loves. See you in the next video.